This is Live Life Love. Hello, and welcome to the Live Life Love podcast. This podcast is all about living a life you love and living your life full of love. And today, I am going to be talking in general about a topic that I care a lot about, which you may, I guess, have picked up a little bit of from previous episodes, but that is social media addiction. And yes, I say addiction because I truly and absolutely believe that it is an addiction. The way that we treat social media, it becomes almost like a bump. That dopamine bump. That's very hard to live without if you are addicted. And for a good portion of my life, I was absolutely addicted to social media, and I might still be a little bit addicted to social media. And to combat a social media addiction, you have to treat it like an addiction. And if you're wondering if you have a social media addiction, it's kind of if you pick up your phone and you just find yourself going on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube Reels, I guess, and just scrolling, and you scroll for hours without being able to stop. Or if you, when you spend time away from your phone, or if you don't have your phone with you, you feel a sense of dread and anxiety. Or if you have kind of a guilty feeling after scrolling for a while, you feel out of control. These are all signs of that social media addiction. You might also, find yourself going to social media as a way to unwind. But let me tell you, you are not actually unwinding. You are going to social media as a, crutch to fill some kind of other hole in you, whether that's emotional or to keep yourself from experiencing the life that is around you. And you might be like, okay, I'm addicted to social media. Who does that hurt in the long run? Ultimately, it only hurts you. Just like any other addiction, it can take over your life. It can get in the way of your relationships. I mean, I know in romantic relationships, not actually engaging with your partner and instead spending time on social media can be harmful, but especially for younger people and children, if their parents are constantly scrolling, they're not really going to be getting the love and attention that they need to develop and become full-fledged humans. And they are also going to model that behavior that they see. Young minds are especially susceptible to, fall into these patterns of addiction with, social media or phones or screens. And I'm absolutely not trying to shame parents for spending some time on their phone. But if you have an addiction, if this is something that you cannot control, if it is something that you cannot stop, if you have stopped engaging with the people around you or are using social media to fill some kind of other hole or to avoid your own emotions, that might mean that you have a problem. And I say this because I had that problem. And the only way that I could fix it was straight up deleting my social media accounts. I tried deleting the apps and I would just log in on the browser. Even after I deleted the apps, I would find myself searching, picking up my phone and putting Instagram into the search engine. It was automatic. Like, I didn't even feel like I had control over my own body after I had completely cut myself off from social media. And that is how scary and how serious this addiction can get. And yes, there is a lot of great resources on, social media. There are people that are going to teach you things, offer you new perspectives. But the video and this current short form content is so short, and we are getting bombarded with so much information that you don't really implement or absorb any of that information that is being thrown at you constantly. You just keep scrolling and scrolling to keep getting those dopamine hit after dopamine hit after dopamine hit. And yeah, maybe you save some videos, but do you ever go back and look at your saved videos? Or you might go, oh, that person has a really great point, but you don't actually do what their point is. And again, I'm not pointing fingers here. This is absolutely me talking about my own self and my journey with this to help other people also go with this journey. I also think that social media can create a warped sense of reality because social media functions on an algorithm. It is showing you what you want to see or what you engage with. So you can kind of get in these ruts where content is pushed on you with kind of the same theme or idea that is not really always the best for you or makes you look at the world in perhaps a way that you don't want to be. And seeing those constant messages over and over will eventually change how you view your life. Whatever content you consume, you will internalize that to some level, and it will affect you to some level where it will affect what you are putting out into the world. And I also think there is so much hate on, social media, so much negativity that you can start to view the world through that lens as well. I mean, there are ruts of things that will change your psyche for the negative. There is a ton of sexualized content on there, and I don't mean to be a prude, but continuously viewing sexual content can rewire your brain to start viewing other people as sexual objects. And with social media, it doesn't have to be even something you are seeking out. It can be something that is pushed on you and, that person is hot. So you're watching that video and you kind of get sucked into it, and then you get more and more of that content that will slowly start warping your brain and maybe push you into a place of a different kind of addiction, such as a porn addiction. And these internet-based addictions, they are also probably going to warp your sense of self. On social media, everybody, especially when you're pushed in one algorithm, everyone you see is a little bit cookie cutter often. And so you get the idea that you have to be a certain way to fit in a certain way. And, there's like skinny talk where these girls that are honestly, not just skinny, but really skinny are saying that's what's normal, or pushing, this healthy eating overly on you, or, or this false sense of beauty, because a lot of these influencers are using, filters, or you're seeing guys who are working out a ton, and so they have these physiques, and maybe they're doing steroids, or, maybe it's just genetics that are making them look that way, and this idealized sense of themselves that might not be attainable or fair for you to look at. And on the flip side, I do want to recognize that there is a ton of, things that are opposite to everything I said, people providing opinions, against those things, or promoting body positivity, or, trying to flip your brain. But if you fall into the pit of one of those kind of, I guess I can say, dark sides of social media, where you're going to be constantly consuming that content that is not good for you, that will have lasting effects on your psyche. And so if you have a problem with social media, and again, one way to check, just try to stop using it. Try to go a full 24 hours without it. How do you feel? Like how many times you pick up your phone and click it even though you're not trying to? Like it's automatic almost. If you have reached that automatic level, I really honestly believe the only way that you can help yourself with this addiction is to create accountability with other people if you can, or within yourself, and adding barriers that keep you from accessing social media. You kind of have to take the steps to do whatever necessary to get there, and I promise that you will thank me. And maybe after you go cold turkey for a while, I will say I allow myself 30 minutes of Instagram per day, and, I do get sucked into it a little bit still, but I make it very, very difficult for myself to go beyond those 15 minutes, so I have finally added it a little bit back into my life, and I don't know if that was the right decision or the wrong decision, but it is nice to feel like I'm a little bit plugged into the world. But I had to go about a year, without any social media at all, before I was ready to start adding it into my life in little increments, where I wasn't constantly craving it and constantly looking for it to fill the empty holes inside me and fill the empty spaces that I was trying to fill with it. And without social media, I found myself having a lot more time in the day, which is one of the benefits, and really being able to engage with the world around me better, work to improve myself more. Really, I just had more time to focus on myself and how I was feeling and to stop running away from whatever I was running away from. And I hope that if you are struggling with social media addiction, I want you to know that you can also, make it through and get rid of that dependency that you have and whatever, negative thought patterns you have. I mean, even now, there are times when I am going through a hard time and I crave to just scroll my pain away. But that is not the most healthy way to deal with those emotions or process those emotions or really be present in the world around me. And I'm very thankful that I was able to, I don't know if I can shake my social media addiction, because I honestly don't believe that I will ever be able to allow myself to have unregulated social media time, because at this point, I am fully an addict. So that is ultimately who I am. I have become a social media addict, and I don't know if it's something that I will ever fully recover from. And that's not to say that you necessarily won't be able to recover. Everybody has different traits, different personalities that make them more or less susceptible to addictive things, but I want you to know that you can stop using social media if you want. And if you notice the negative signs, I absolutely encourage you to do that. And it is something that we should become comfortable in as a society, of treating like any other addiction, where we intervene with our loved ones if we feel like they are overly addicted and not engaging with us. I went home for the holidays with my family, and I have to fly quite a ways to see them, and to go all that way and for everyone to be on their phones and just ignoring each other is ultimately kind of sad. And I personally want to live in a world where everyone is connected with each other in real physical spaces, not just digital spaces. I know everybody says the male loneliness epidemic, but I was reading an article today that showed that women are reporting similar levels of loneliness, especially young people, just because I think we are so separated with, this reliance, and COVID forced us to connect on our phones, and now we've kind of lost the ability almost to connect in person as well. And so my little homework assignment for this week is to, first of all, if you think you have a social media addiction, try to go 1 week without social media. See if you can train yourself and hold yourself accountable that way. And if you find yourself struggling with it, that's okay. There is always the option to delete if that sounds too much for you or too much of a disconnect. You can always, get one of those apps that allows you to block social media for a certain amount of time. That is what I have found to be the most useful. But I also encourage everyone to spend some time connecting and interacting with people in real life, without the presence of your phones. And, not everybody struggles with that. Some people do interact a lot, and I understand that, but there are a lot of people out there that feel really lonely. And I think the only way to fix that is creating intimate relationships with those around you, which you will only get with multiple hours spent together and actually engaging with each other. But thank you so much for listening, and I hope you took something from today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Live Life Love podcast. As always, please share this episode with your friends and family. Follow the podcast on Instagram at Live Life Love Pod, or visit the website livelifelovepodcast.com. You can find past episodes wherever you like to listen, and new episodes come out every Tuesday. Have a great day.